Televiewers, good evening and welcome to another edition of Prime Hour. We are seriously very sorry for this late start. We make machines, like I always say, but they tend to disappoint us. We had some electrical issues with as far as commencing this program is concerned. Thank God we are live, and that we are going to discuss that which we planned for you this evening, which has to do with the plight of teachers that are providing teaching services at the level of lay private education in Cameroon. Many of them have been writing to my media Prime to be precise, to talk about their plight. Many see that they have not been paid by their proprietors, claiming to be touched by the COVID pandemic across the nation. We even thought that we should go back to the conditions of the teachers as far as the Anglophone crisis is concerned. Many of them have been very worried to tell their stories, also looking at how the social climate that is prevailing amongst the proprietors of these lay private institutions and the teachers. We are going to be discussing this with panelists, 4 of them in the studio and 1 out of the studio. We are going to be discussing this with Prince Joel, who is in the house with us, Ichi, to contribute to this very hot topic as many teachers are waiting to hear their plight exposed on this program this evening. Good evening, Prince, and welcome.
Thank you, Leonard. Good evening to those watching us all over Cameroon and those watching us out of Cameroon. The topic, like you said, is a very interesting one because some of us, before we became journalists that we are today, we had to pass through teaching. And even when we were children, we saw our teachers. When I look at my teacher who taught me in the primary school, I still cry. I think that it's high time that the government of Cameroon, or maybe proprietors, looked into the situation of teachers in Cameroon. Because like I said before, teachers in Cameroon, if you look at a teacher, you will never want to become a teacher. Teachers in Cameroon have been reduced to an extent, put it in quotes, beggars in Cameroon. Okay,
equally with us in the program is Agbo Mentor, a very famous name as far as secondary education is concerned in the southwest region, all the way from Boya. He's here in the studio with us. Mr. Agbo, we are glad to have you for the first time on this program.
Well, it's a privilege, Mr. Poom. I'm very privileged to be here today. It's a very sensitive topic, like the other panelists have maybe said it. I think it is going to be very interesting for us to analyze some of the plights that us lay private teachers are going through in Cameroon.
You are a teacher with Somerset Bilingual College in Boya. How is the school going?
Very well. I think it's one of the examples I think the nation is going to emulate today.
Somerset
Bilingual College.
Okay, equally with us in the studio is Madame Telelen Mbunya Nzokwe, who is a teacher out here. Teachers slash proprietors out here in Douala, Cameroon's economic capital. Good evening and welcome.
Oh, thank you. I'm a teacher, that's who I am. But you know, being passionate about teaching, I might have grown and earned titles, but I stand here as a teacher because teachers really, like the others have said, something needs to be done. Otherwise, we don't have a nation tomorrow. So as we go on, we're going to speak. I'm going to speak much more as a teacher because something has to be done. Yeah.
Something has to be done. Far Elvis Tayong is supposed to be part of this program. He's caught in traffic, so we expect him to join us in the course of the program. I start with you, Prince Joel. When you look at those teaching in the private sector in Cameroon, what comes to your mind?
There are 2 things when I look at the private teacher in Cameroon. I get 2 adjectives. First of all, misery. And second, there is this aspect of desperate. You discover that teachers in the private sector, proprietors have the impression that a young guy who comes to apply for a job is a young guy. Maybe they first of all go through your documents. If they discovered, for instance, that you read journalism, they will know that, okay, Prince may not have had a radio station, a newspaper, or a TV station to work in. He's coming into teaching as something for the time being. That's the first aspect. And secondly, you discover that teaching in the private sector in Cameroon, Mr. Leonard, show me one private teacher, bet for people like Agbo Mentor, and a few of them who have maybe used teaching differently. To show me one private teacher who has built a house, or one private teacher who has a car, then I'll congratulate that teacher. I'm saying so because we are living in a country where proprietors are extremely rich. They buy cars every day, they build mansions every day, whereas their teachers stay in what we call ghettos. They cannot rent a house for 20,000 a month. Now, when you look at it generally, Ms. Elena, you discover that there is the need for a general overhaul. Let me be honest with you. I watched the other day, my teacher who taught me in primary school, CBC Bolifamba, mile 16. It is only when she, after some years, that's just one of them, Madame Bella, it is only when she entered, she was integrated, that her life changed a bit. You discover that teachers, especially those in the private and the primary sector, Mr. Liu, what they go through is that a majority of them, in order to make ends meet, come and sell things. I remember when I was in primary school, our madam used to compel us to buy ching-ching. They compel you. It means that the teacher has been reduced. We are living in a country where children come to school with very luxurious things in their bags, whereas a teacher is that one whom during break he needs to hide himself somewhere, even get parched maize, and need drink water for coming to give lectures. That is why I feel that, Mr. Liu, the topic you choose is a very good one, and somebody listening to us somewhere, especially proprietors. There is need for the teacher in Cameroon. Who is a teacher? If Prince can speak the way he's speaking today, it's because of a teacher. There is no journalist who was not taught by a teacher. When you look at a teacher in Cameroon, nobody wants to send the child in school. Last time when you had something like this, Leo, I told you that when I wanted to write the first concours I ever wrote in my life, there was a family meeting. Okay, guy, you want to write? What do you think? I said, no. By then, I loved teaching a lot because I was envying people like Agbo Mentor, I was envying people like Madam. I wanted to teach. I just wanted a situation where I should enter into the classroom and children should say, good morning, sir. I was seeing myself like a king. Okay? And even when in the quarters, good morning, sir. But now, the meeting we held that was supposed to dole out sums for me to go, there was one person whom I'm appreciating a lot today, my elder sister. She said, if it is teaching, if everybody gives even 10 million, there is no kobo. The reason is simple, Mr. Leonard, is because the teacher in Cameroon, I'm not looking at a teacher who is teaching in Douala, okay? Because a teacher will be teaching in Douala and maybe has to teach private classes. But I'm looking at a teacher who is teaching maybe in Chongi. I'm looking at a teacher who is teaching in Mabonji, where the grandmother or the grandfather or even the mother cannot pay the fees. I've seen parents who they only pay fees by coming with a bucket of cocoyam to school. They come and negotiate with the head teacher. That is a school we're talking about something like 7,500. It means the mother struggles to give 2,000. And the following day, the mother now needs to come in with a bucket of cocoyam and tell teacher, you know, say, when no they will so take the cocoa. You discover that if a parent cannot pay 7,500 francs as fee, will that parent pay for private classes? My target is not Madame in Douala. I'm looking at those in the suburbs. Those who cannot have private classes.
Mentor, yes, many teachers have been writing to us saying that they have not been paid by their proprietors, claiming that COVID-19 has touched their businesses and that they cannot pay. How do we understand that government says, okay, because of COVID-19, schools will no longer go, and teachers use that as an proprietors use that as an opportunity not to teach, not to pay their workers. Just to tell our televiewers that we had stories that there was a slash in the salaries of our teachers in the Presbyterian Education Authority. So we made contact. We informed the Presbyterian Education Authority that we are going to be discussing it today. So we made contact with them yesterday. And we equally contacted the president of the trade union, PIA2, in the person of Stephen Afu, who is going to be taking part in this program in the course of the program. So we are going to be listening to them. But how do we understand, Argumento, that some proprietors are claiming that there is no money available to pay some of their teachers now because of COVID-19. You are a teacher with Somerset Bilingual College. Is that the situation?
Mr. Leonard, I think this is a completely scenario to be condemned. In the first place, maybe proprietors talking about not having enough to pay the teachers, especially following COVID-19.
Yeah.
Looking at it from that perspective, I think you cited an example with the Presbyterian. To be very frank, I decry that situation and call it a scam. Calling it a scam from the point that students paid fee, they paid even boarding fee, paid extra maybe fee for boarding, feeding, which unfortunately they have not consumed that part of the money. So rationally, I could have been thinking that if there's COVID-19 and surely some students did not complete their tuition fee, some of the boarding fee could have been converted to meet up with their salaries. So I think the authorities concerned will see into that. Unfortunately, it's not the same scenario with every other school. Somerset, which I happen to be a teacher there, made us smile, thanks to the organization of the school, especially the management headed by Dr. Thomas Etamba, I'm proud to say, and I know every other teacher from Somerset Bilingual College, Boya, can quote me anywhere. He called the teachers maybe as of the mid-March that COVID-19 maybe scenario happened, and teachers were asked to halt everywhere in the country. By the end of the month, which was not actually the end of the month, between the 18th, by the 20th, 23rd of the month, we were called for our salary in March. We had that jubilating, thinking that that was all. Surprisingly, by the 18th of April, we were called for the month for the salary of April, and all of us were expecting to see half salary like many may be anticipating as a private school. Not only a private school, but a private school that has been rocked by the Anglophone crisis, where parents are paying by piecemeal. Most of the students who are in the junior forms have not paid anything reasonable since they were looking at the situation per se, day in, day out. If schools are going to take till the end, they are still owing fabulous sums of money. But thanks to the management headed by Dr. Eta, we were paid complete salary in April, which I think, to the surprise of these panelists, you might be shocked that a lay private school that depends solely on school fee has been able to pay up to May. And I'm sure as I'm talking, they are putting things in place to pay, as they paid April, they are sure to pay May and even June.
Okay, even as schools are not ongoing. Madam Bunya, how do we explain what is happening to some of these teachers where they think that some proprietors are exploiting the advent of COVID-19 to, I don't know, to deprive them of what is theirs?
Yeah, actually, I think we as teachers, we are right. Because I often say that when there is an excess, they don't get to tell us. So why would they tell us when there is a loss? The years where we work and we bring 50, 70, 80 more children into the classroom, I don't remember any proprietor calling a teacher and say, oh, today, this year, in fact, we had a 15 million excess. So for that reason, I'm giving each one of you a plot of land. No, I've never seen that. But then the least disorder, then they want us to understand. I would not understand how an old school, I went to the Presbyterian school, for example, from 1 to opposite. My father has 9 children. We all passed through that school. So money has been paid for many years. So 2 things are here. Either it's a scam, like my brother said, or there is mismanagement. There's something needs to be done. But the last person to bear the consequence should be the teacher. Because killing the teacher today is killing life for tomorrow, for everybody.
We have just been joined by Fa Elvis Tayon. He went through the traffic situation in Douala and is here with us. Elvis Fa Tayon, the situation of teachers in lay private institutions in Cameroon is not too rosy.
Well, I think that it's my pleasure, first of all, marking presence. Greetings to the mayor of the Bavenda City Council, Ola Chawong, and also to a host of others who are listening to us right now because they are fans of the TV. And of course, they wish that we come there and do more things to showcase exactly what they do. But that is that. So while we are sending special greetings to them, you know that the important thing here is for us not to mingle with words. Let me start, because this is a scam of the first order. Presbyterian Church, hear me well. Hear very well and hear very well. Do you know that they had I have the documents, they should not bother, I'm an investigative journalist. I have a document here, they say, review of the protocol agreement / COVID-19. This is coming from the Education Office, PCC, dated April 30th, 2020. Hear me well, PCC. Don't take people for granted. You soak them blood. It is slavery of the first order. I am waiting to hear clergy, their own salary being cut down. Then we'll hear the story well. Now I have a protocol agreement here, signed by the PCC officials to all principals, all finance officers, peer schools. Dear colleagues, I don't want to read it. I want to let you know that they said they are carrying out these drastic cuts because they have been hit with COVID-19. Here is coming word, hit by COVID-19. When did COVID-19 hit?
The Presbyterian Church.
Salaries have been collected, school fees have been collected, right? And of course, the Minister of Secondary Education made it clear to those who work in the private sector that they should not give excuses on issues of salary, because before this time of April, all the schools have collected over 85% of the school fees. Presbyterian Church, we are not full, so let me come. Now they tell us, I am still coming, because these people think that we don't know their documents and their manipulations. Why they feel fat as the clergy, they want to squeeze our brothers and teachers to make them die. They will not die in Jesus' name. And they tell us here, let me read, as it's from a document signed by People Presbyterian Church Authority. Yeah, very well. April 2020, the rate 50% down, basic salary. May 2020, 40% down. June 2020, 35% down. You see the way they are cutting and coming down. All right, there's no bother. Let me tell you another issue that is bad. Since as these people don't know that, we know their dealings. Salary initially for most of the teachers had been 86,000 francs. And the church has been deducting close to 15,000 francs for church contributions. Teachers, if I'm lying, dispute me anywhere. I'm talking with facts and documents. All right. Now, if you go to schools, I've been investigating PJSS, Limbe. I'm just giving you a litany.
Yeah, but no, I want us to look at it, so, Mr. Fa.
Yep.
I want us to look at it globally. The plight of teachers in Cameroon. Your first stick, we are coming to that.
Right.
Because after you, we are going to Bomenda to listen to the trade union president to get his reaction.
For the teachers in general.
Yes. Private schools.
Private schools, they have a right to revindicate. But let me tell you where the mafia comes in with the redundant government. When you give schools subvention, 2 million, 3 million, some 5 million, and you don't put in place a monitoring mechanism, I have taught, they know. I taught in Standard High School in Boya, I taught in Christian Comprehensive College in Bukwango, I have taught before escaping from the job and coming to journalism. So I know what it transpires in the mafia. Now, when you give a school 4 or 5 million as subvention, I don't monitor. What happens? The proprietors take it and run their private businesses.
No, Mr. Kuma,
I'm still coming.
No, let him
coming.
He's a proprietor.
Yeah.
No, let him land. When he lands,
The schools where I have taught,
yes.
I have many teachers who are teaching even in those schools are saying, if they will surely text you and give you what I'm saying, because I have worked in the sector. He knows me surely. Renowned religious teacher in Goya.
Quite well.
Renowned one, no?
Yes.
Don't bother. So as I was saying, when you look at it critically, when this money comes in, most of the proprietors take the money. It could be different from those who are run the schools as a group. Because as a group, probably you might find it difficult manipulating because it will surely leak. We are talking about sole proprietors in that part. When they collect, they run their private businesses, you don't even have the effect. When I was teaching, when it comes to September, they'll pay September, October, November, December, because during this period, children who have gone to government schools and have been rejected are looking for schools to go to. So they will catalyze us to teach. When you teach, by the time I get to April, when they do that, no new student is coming again. Today, you come and add a miserable 25,000 francs, you come and take 15. After that, you come and take, and they keep prolonging. Before the end of the time, you discover that you have arrears that you have to come and take again in September. So you discover that this is the bitter truth. Let no proprietor deceive you. I am talking because I lived that experience. So at the end of this, Mr. Leo, we think that if the government means business, as you give a franc, put a monitoring mechanism. If you don't put it, then we will be suspecting you as being an accomplice to the plight of the teachers. I used to tell a proprietor, we don't sit without salary. Labor Day, we are curtailing our small end earn money again to add again to Labor Day for us to go and eat and drink. Was that not what the first order?
Mr.
So at the end of it, I think that
my
let
brother,
us be honest with this, and that is the situation in a private school.
My brother,
unless someone says that their own is different.
My brother,
I don't argue with that, but I'm saying what I
has
need.
double X.
No, it's okay. I'm very privileged to be here today with a very sound mind person in the plight of private teachers. I don't despise what you are saying, and I don't want to talk about a particular school per se. What you are saying, with all due respect, I think is very okay. But I think we are here for sincerity and thinking that the authorities in place should do something for teachers to the plight of the maybe teachers to be improved upon. So all of what you have said about subvention, which is paid to private schools, I acknowledge that. I don't dispute it, but I think some schools are having their payroll per month, which is above the meager maybe thing, if I may say, that the school is giving a subvention. I think the authorities in place, especially with the secondary education and not leaving out maybe the basic education, should start thinking of improving on the subvention and not really maybe only talking about 2 million. If they pay by the month, I think some schools are surviving because they are sincere and they have that aspect of humanity at heart, where if they cannot meet up, just like the Somerset we're talking of, they go and borrow to make sure that the people working the money, just like a true Bamileke man, is fed in order to give you the best, maybe per se. So on that note, I'm saying that we should not also waive this aspect of the government, which I think is not satisfactory. The aspect of subvention agreed, but how is it worthy enough to assist the proprietor or the school in paying the teachers? If your wage rate is maybe 5 million per month, like a school which is taking good care of the teachers, I thank the principal of Somerset Bilingual College for coordinating Mr. Wanding Rudolph and making sure that teachers are taken care of, especially what you have said in respect of 1st May, official days where teachers go out like Teachers' Day. Somerset takes full responsibility of the feeding and not leaving out transportation of the teachers. So in that line, I think maybe some schools like Somerset are standing as an example of the nation, not only maybe Southwest per se. So they need to be motivated in order to make sure that the aspect of teachers maybe with the teachers' salary or stipend should be improved upon. I'm very disheartened maybe when we talk about teachers here, especially private teachers. It's unfortunate where somebody happens to improve the livelihood of a young Cameroonian, and by the end of the month, that person could not be able to afford paying house rent. And not to talk about feeding himself for a week before the other month begins. It's disheartening. It's a problem in the nation. I think the authorities need to do something about it.
Let me just, it is going to be painful for me to read this, but or difficult, but let me try to get the last paragraph of the review of the protocol agreement on COVID-19. I'm sure that's why you were struggling.
That is just the same document.
Can you just read the last paragraph of, if you have it?
Well, let me take you to the
I
last
just
paragraph.
received it from somebody who says he will not want to disclose.
Before you receive it, don't worry. I had gone into the archives. Let me read to you the last paragraph.
The last paragraph, yes.
Exceptionally, the proprietor of Pierre Schools had decided to render, or PEA, decided to render a kind gesture by authorizing payments of 50% of salaries.
A kind gesture
of paying 50% of salaries. That's for technical leave situations to staff of all PAA schools that started the year 2019-2020 academic year, but are now non-functional for the month of April, rather than suspending contracts whereby no payment would be made to staff. This goes particularly to PSS Mancon, PSS Bafu, PSS Douala, PCSS Mfu, PCSS Boya, PGSS Limbe, PCHS, that's Limbe, and the Grand North, Boya, Kumba, Bamenda, and Betwa managerial areas. This payment modality shall continue up till August, ending at different rates as stipulated by the Labor Code.
Now it goes further to state the amount.
Yes, and they say for the month of April 2020, the rate is 50%. That is as for the basic salary. Now for May 2020, the rate is 40% as per basic salary. June 2020, 35% as per basic salary. July 2020, 30% as per basic salary. And August 2020, it will be 20% as per basic salary.
And this is for the functional schools?
For the functional, obviously.
Which means that, I don't know, maybe for the non-functional schools may not be the situation. But let us take a listen to the trade union president for the Presbyterian Education Authority, Mr. Afu Stephen, who is filing this from Bamenda.
Thank you, Mr. Kum, for inviting me to the set this time around. And I seize this opportunity to greet all our televiewers and most especially the panelists who are on the set here with me. I want to thank you and to doff my hat to you for the wonderful job that you people of this media house are doing to edify and educate the public on contemporary issues. As to the action, my reaction specifically to the decision of the church hierarchy to slash the salaries of the teachers by 50%, this decision came to me as a big surprise. And as a surprise because we expected that they would have involved us in the decision, but the decision has just been rammed into the throats of the teachers without them contributing. I want to see this as an immoral and a wicked act from the church hierarchy, especially during this time when people are going through a lot of difficulties. We understand that payments are rather supposed to go forward and not backwards. And if in any situation salaries are to go backwards, especially for the teachers, as it is the case now, whose pay rate has been set by a contract, I think the best thing that they would have done was to renegotiate the contract, which, as I speak to you now, this was not done. Again, Mr. Kuma and dear panelists, it will interest you to know that a protocol agreement was arrived at in 2008, during which an agreement was arrived at. And the teachers, through their staff representatives and the union that I represent, surrendered 5% reduction in the salaries as was agreed, amongst other attributes that were surrendered. Here I would like to quote the biological children's scholarship and other allowances that were reduced for those who were holding some duty posts. And in that protocol agreement, in its Article 20, which I would like to quote extenso, the salary arrears OPA employees prior to the establishment of this accord shall be paid in a maximum of 3 installments, with the first installment to be paid by the effective date of this protocol agreement, which then was the 1st of January 2019. The second installment 10 months later, which again was in October 2019, and the last installment 12 months later, which is October 2020. It is sad for us to note here now that as I speak, even the first installment has not been paid to all the teachers. And the period was not even respected, because instead of the January, they started paying that money, but in April, meaning that they have violated the terms of the protocol agreement by 4 months from the effective date as specified in the protocol agreement. You will see now that they are going around parading the whole place and deceiving the people and the public that this money has been paid, which is not true. We speak into the second installment has not even been done, because, as I earlier indicated, the first installment has not been paid to the teachers. Some teachers of basic education have been touched, and not all in that sector have been paid, just as a fraction in secondary education. I want to inform our listeners that and our viewers that the situation is still very, very difficult. for the teachers, given that this protocol agreement has not been respected as it was agreed upon. It is for this reason that we foresaw that in 2020, given that the last installment is supposed to be paid in October, we already launched a complaint to the Labor Ministry so that we should not be caught up with the terrible scenario. We expected church hierarchy to, in the face of this situation now, call for a meeting, lay the problem so that we could find common solutions that will satisfy all, and give them an easy means to handle the payments. We have even requested for an evaluation of the protocol agreement, which they have maintained a stone silence, erecting a very tall brick wall to social dialogue and negotiation that in our correspondences to them we have been clamoring for. We are thinking that in the days ahead, General Assembly of the teachers will be summoned to examine this very disturbing, preoccupying situation, and it is then that we will come out with a position which will be pronounced. For now, we are still looking at the situation to see, even though the letters have already been sent out and they are in the process of doing some execution. That is that for that question. Then for the other part of the question, which you have asked me to talk about, whether we were contacted in arriving at this decision, I want to be very candid with you to say that the teachers were not contacted. But what is evident is that the Education Secretary, who is the executive head of the Presbyterian Education Authority, definitely was contacted by the Financial Secretary and maybe by the moderator. That is why in that letter it has been co-signed by the Financial Secretary and the Education Secretary. This shows the high-handed and arrogant style that is being introduced in the conduct of affairs.
Okay, that was the trade union leader for the Presbyterian Education Authority, Stephen Afu, filing in there from Bamenda. We are going to continue to get his reaction, because he is going to paint the situation of a teacher in the PCC in Cameroon. He has another intervention to make in the course of the program. We are going back to Bamenda very shortly, but you've listened to him, Prince Joel. I want us to understand not only the case of the Presbyterian Education Authority. How do we understand that proprietors of schools who have collected fees are using COVID-19 as an excuse not to pay salaries?
Yeah, Mr. Leo, is regrettable. Like you said, we'll come back to this case because it's really touching. I feel very much touched, because some of us are those who went through a dormitory school, and in a dormitory school, they even have what they call caution fee. It means you haven't exhausted your school fee, you still pay a certain sum called caution fee. And the purpose of it is, if you leave the dormitory the final year without destroying anything, they give it to you. I paid it. And to have a school that up till now we must have collected. You don't go to a dormitory school like that. It's not a school that you come and write the name. So getting what they are saying at the level of the Presbyterian Church is really disheartening. The first thing I want to say is that, Leo, as of now, we are in May. I've taught in schools. I've taught in St. Manisusa. I've taught in Champions Boya. I've taught in Government Technical High School, Susa. I've taught in schools, and I discovered something with proprietors. The first thing I discovered as a teacher when I was teaching is the fact that no proprietor leaves school fees till January. They do everything. When I went to Susa, for instance, I was teaching in Sense Man, I discovered something. The proprietor, Akibe Emmanuel, told me something. He said, Prince, this is a rural setting. And the majority of these people have a season they call farming season. Once they have the nuts, press them to pay the fees. Without which, if they get to what they call saison mode, that's how they call it. When they get to that season where they don't have money again, they will not be able. It means that as we speak now, Mr. Leo, no school, if there is any child still owing fees in any school, let's say the school fees was 90,000. If there's any child owing, that child should be owing 25,000 in all schools. Let's be very honest.
Yeah.
Now let us be honest. Now to have a proprietor, when you called me for this topic, I contacted some parents. I spoke with one of the schools I taught in Douala, Collège Polyvalent Les Valeurs. And the teachers told me when they went, because they have a system, either they take you as a permanent teacher and they pay you for 9 months, or they take you as a semi-permanent and they pay you for 6 months. That's how they do it. Permanent means they pay you all through. But even during holiday, you need to do work. I'm just using the school I know. I don't know how it works in other schools. Now you will discover that teachers went for this month and their salaries were divided into 2. With the objective to tie them down, because a majority would have gone out to go do other things. Since the school is ongoing construction, they want to tie you down. So much so that since you're still hoping with a meager sum that is left, you don't want to leave it. A few want to leave. So, Mr. Leo, I think it is something that the government, because like I said before, we know the level at which my media, prime ministers and ministers, government ministers who are listening to. It is time that the government should tie down these proprietors. Because even when you teach, I remember when I was teaching in Champions, at one time, Pabo called me, when they want to pay you fees, they first of all give you religious studies. They tell you, no, Prince, don't look at this. One day I was traveling when I got to the airport. Unfortunately for me, I met one of my students. That's what they'll tell you. A proprietor will tell you a very sweet and convincing story. So they work for nothing. We have done these things. Mr. Leo will be shocked that when I taught in a government school, GTHS Susa, a government school, bilingual school, a very big school, I discovered that the final month I came for my salary in June, having invigilated the probatoire and the back. Thank God I came with another colleague, a French colleague, Monsieur Yemeli, and we were shocked that what they gave us in the envelope when we came out, let us be honest, they were paying us 40,000. What we took outside, we saw 2 10,000 francs notes in each envelope. I looked at him, he looked at me. We wanted not to disclose our secrets. And I was like, boy, higher on pass. We were like, no. Because that's a situation teachers in Cameroon go through. Yeah. Now, when we came out, we were mature enough, I said, we went back to the bossa. Because what all goes in a government school, we are not giving lectures to those who know, but those who don't know. In a government school, once they take you for the month of September, you have a tax salary. It means even when you come back in January for 2 weeks, because January has 2 weeks, you have that salary. And that salary runs all through the year until you're able to renew your contract. But in private schools, like those of us who taught maybe in other schools, they pay you per hour. You will discover, Leo, that the principal, the boss told us, go and meet the principal of the school. When we went to the principal, I called her and said, Madam, what is going on? Madam said, it's the first year that I've given the school a center, so she could not bear it alone. She met with the PTA president. It's the same thing that Mr. Afu Stephen is talking about. It means in the days ahead, when the Presbyterian Church, the teachers want to mount pressure, you will discover that the head of the school, alongside some few personalities, met and decided the fate of teachers. I'm saying so because the principal told us that he met with the PTA chairman, and they discovered that in order to meet up with other facilities, they therefore decided to deduct 20,000 francs from all PTA teachers. I suffered it. And I asked the principal, Madam, what becomes of a teacher who goes to EcoBank to take the salary? Did you follow to go deduct? No, on a first up as Mansevu. So what you see is ongoing, Mr. Leo, is just a tip of the iceberg. Teachers in Cameroon are suffering. It is high time that the government, like I said before, because my target is not this thing. If the Minister of Secondary Education, Professor Nalova Lyonga, gets into the Presbyterian Church, because it's not an issue of the church, it's an issue of the teachers. If the Minister of Secondary Education, that of Labor, gets into this massacre that is ongoing in the Presbyterian Church, let me tell you, the teacher's salary will not only be increased, but some teachers who have been teaching for nothing in the years back, they will pay them. This, like I said before, is just one out of the million Cameroonians who are suffering. Mr. Liu, teachers in Cameroon are suffering. Teachers in Cameroon are suffering. Yes, Agbo, mentor, you have something to add to what he just said?
Yes, I have something to add in respect to what he has just said. It's but obvious that if we talk here and nothing is, the impact is not felt, then I think my media prime has been doing a marvelous job for nothing. So looking at the situation at hand, except we are saying that the authorities in place don't have powers over those mountain schools. Because
That's
if
what
that
I'm
be the case, I don't think for any reason whatsoever that you have been given an authorization, because to the best of my knowledge, before you run a school, you must have an authorization to run a school, which is through two means. The first means is authorization to create, and that to open. And if that has been given by the respectable authorities in the country, then I think if you are not maybe taking care of the citizens, especially those that are maybe working for you, they can prop in and put things in order. So looking at it from this perspective, I'm of the opinion that the said authorities, especially maybe the Minister of Secondary Education, not even out that of the basic. We are talking here from the Presbyterian perspective, which is 1 out of 1,000. There are many schools that are, maybe the teachers are facing the same scenario. You finish teaching.
But he just cited the case of where he taught.
Yes. When you talk about that case, it's just like a government school. Well,
government school.
That notwithstanding, I don't think it's really an unfortunate situation, because government teachers, just like the situation that was maybe raking the southwest and northwest, some who were teaching in Munyenge, Ekiliwindi, who were teaching in suburbs of those maybe areas that were highly intense by problems, were maybe having their salaries.
Maybe. They were having their salaries without any problem.
So I think very briefly, I want you to tell the story of a teacher in the private sector in the northwest and southwest region across the periods of the Anglophone crisis. It's not been easy.
No, it has not been easy, Mr. Leo, because I think Southwest and Northwest private teachers are faced with a double impact problem. For the first phase, we had the Anglophone crisis that had been on for years, that teachers came forth to teach. Unfortunately, based on the situations that all of us are aware, they could not be able to withstand it. Some maybe are suffering till death, abandoned to themselves. Some have their fingers, their hands chopped out. Some maybe paid ransoms, maybe individually and their families. Unfortunately, they were there to do the work which was meant for the nation. And Mr. Liu, I would like to call to your attention that the private school constitute a bulk of these students, because if left to the government, they cannot handle. So looking at it from that direction, I think it is high time the government maybe puts a watchdog committee on the maybe situation of the private teachers. I don't think people, maybe this dehumanizing, because people go and sit in front maybe seats of churches, maybe live big life. Unfortunately, those that earn meager 80, 70, 90 or 100 and something thousand, you still maybe deduct everything from 50%. Them. And unfortunately, maybe the situation could be even that worse to those of the private sectors, not talking about the denomination schools, because I know of colleagues whom they have been left to themselves. They have nowhere to go. I think it's only my media prime that could be their source of complaint. If they maybe get up to agitate, we know with the scenario of our country, it becomes something else. So I think, especially with this maybe situation, the government, I hold the government maybe on high esteem to contribute most of this maybe in solving the problem.
Yes, Madam Anzokwe, is the problem not also people are not called to open schools, but are using it for purely business motives?
Oh yes, that's exactly what I was just thinking. That the whole issue boils down to the objective. If somebody is doing business, what do you expect? Profit is their objective. And that is where I would join Mr. Fai to say begins with the government. The government has to put an eye. Now, you introduced me as a proprietor. I always prefer to say I'm a teacher. My school doesn't have up to 50 children. Because what I call my school is just a passion, a good teacher who keeps having people come around. You see the way I give my contribution in my school on my media prime. So it is not for business. Now, I have never received what they call subvention, because the government maybe has what they consider and qualify and check out before they give that. How would the government just sit and watch this happening? Now, I was saying to some people, I said, what the government is not seeing, to join what you were saying over there, is that this gap they are giving out is to crumble the Ministry of Scientific Research, health and everything, because some people who were not really in for teaching but just found themselves there, developed skills, and were trying to take roots. Now, when the government folds its arms and watch them go without food from March to September, and he has managed to set up a kiosk and he's selling, and there's nobody shouting on him, and then at the end of the month, he has a 40,000, he doesn't need to leave his house and go out. Do you think he's going to leave that and get back to the classroom and be having quarrels and insults from parents with all the risk of being beaten by parents, being insulted by children? No, so the government needs to sit up. There is nothing like proprietors make money or they don't make money. Let the government find a way and sort this thing out, because teachers have to be paid.
But it is true the government may want to regulate. Does it not also start with the authors of schools before creating a school? These are all Christians. These are all respectable persons in the society. Why don't they put themselves in the shoes of their teachers?
Respectable in quotes, I would say, because I have taught, this my 20th year of teaching. I've taught all along in Douala. I don't have even a bicycle. You know, so that's why I hate to be termed a proprietor, because when you have the heart of your teachers, I'm not boasting, my teachers are out there, they will tell you, I don't succeed to figure out how a proprietor comes into a school campus every day with 6 different cars, and then your head teacher has to drop off in front of your school with a bike. I mean, there are schools in this Douala where fees are above 500,000 francs, and the head teacher or the principal is on a bike, and I begin to question, what happens if it has to be announced on news that the head teacher of so-called big school had a bike accident and died? Do they really think about it? That's why I say respectable in quotes. So at least the least they should do, let the inspectors, whoever is in place, follow up and ensure that teachers are paid.
It's unfortunate, madam, because when you call some of the persons concerned, some people are afraid of their positions. People are afraid of their positions.
Everybody is talking about the government. We understand the trade union president talking from Bamenda is talking about a protocol agreement. All of this is regulated under the government. When we talk of the government, there is a ministry in charge, the Ministry of Labor. Okay, we have labor inspectors in Douala, in Boya, in Bamenda.
Mr. Leo,
what is happening? Yes.
Mr. Leo, I had an experience. I don't even want to think about labor.
Okay, before it comes.
I don't even want to think about labor.
Why?
Because I started off, because they are not there to help teachers. I'm sorry. I had a bitter experience. I started off teaching, by God's grace, in American School of Douala, and that's the time they were having a lot of issues. Now, I was doing most of the work. The white collar skin person was being paid, and for some reason they had some challenges and they decided to slash on staff. And of course they looked at the people whom they thought were vulnerable. I just got married, I was pregnant, and to the best of my knowledge I was at a risk condition. But do you know I was laid off on technical? If I knew, I would have brought that paper. I was given technical leave. Then somebody told me, no, you are not supposed to do that because of it, so go to the labor. I went to the labor court. Sorry, I wouldn't call the person's name, but I was happy to see somebody I was in the university with, and I thought something was going to happen. And the advisors, we took a lawyer. But like somebody has whispered, when you go get those big people, you have just sold yourself. And then, to the best of my knowledge, till today that I'm talking to you, after paying the lawyers and paying everything that they said, I've not had anything. It is already 17 years.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, you know that.
Are the teachers that helpless?
No, they are.
They are. Not tell the truth. No, they are.
You know, Leo, the good thing is that at least all of us here are teachers, even though myself and Prince, we escaped from the teaching field because we could not bear it. I'm sorry to say that.
You are saying you escaped happily.
No, not happily. Because where I went to, I also suffered before getting to where I am today. You get the point.
So the teachers are to suffer now.
No, I'm not saying they should suffer. I'm explaining that not all of them can live. You get the point.
Yeah.
Now, at this point in time, with the issues of labor, I think that when we talk about the government, it's true the labor inspectors are there. I equally had the same situation when I was teaching at Boya Bilingual High School. As student, I was at the University of Boya. You will look at money as something that was like big money for you. 25,000 francs was so much money as a university student. For you to go there, and at the end of the day, you hear that money is not out, and then they dribble you. Finally, you feel marks. They say, just give the students, let them go home, come and see us the next day on Monday. You come the next day on Monday when they have already given the report card. It is yam done, as they say in pidgin. And I went to the labor inspector. I thought that, these guys are corrupt.
They are all.
That is somebody I went there and explained the problem. Where he said, Master the proprietor, okay, we're going to convoke him, we're going to do this. Come on this day. He gave me 2 weeks' time. You can imagine how a desperate student has to come in 2 weeks' time for the bigger side, and the 2 million that came, he's nowhere to be found. Okay, we'll do everything, we'll send it to the court. Whereas it's a game they play because these proprietors work in accordance with these labor inspectors. That's why I say teachers are helpless. I say that the government must be able to put a machinery. If the government was able to wait, if a case comes at the law court concerning a proprietor and a teacher and it shows that it has passed through labor inspector and you suspend the labor inspector, I'm sure all of them would have been doing their job.
Yes.
But since us, at the moment you start looking at it, all right, they will tell you this to transfer to court, as they told me. But now I had to show that the cost for it to be transferred to court.
That is
Whereas the labor court tells me that the labor was supposed to send the thing to court and back me up. Once the evidence are clear that the school did not want to pay my salary. All right, at the end of it, we suffered. So, Mr. Leo, my worry here is, in as much as we hold some of these proprietors, my worry is with those who claim that with God.
That's it.
I don't hide it.
Yeah.
Baptist, Catholic, Presbyterian, as you all human beings, and you are a clergy, and you live in big cars, driving left to right, why is it that your salaries are not being slashed?
That is it.
It's a question, Mr. Leo, because you are a human being, surely married, as these other teachers are married.
Yeah.
So when COVID is for everybody.
And COVID is for everybody. That's why I went even to the senior office. They refused attention to me. They were afraid because when they heard I came from Douala, senior clerk was not willing to receive me. Moderator was not willing to receive me, and they're my own good friends. So, and just because they told them that I'm from Douala, they got scared about COVID. If you are afraid that I will bring COVID to senior office, pay the teachers because COVID is not a respecter of persons. And so, when you live in affluence and you leave the teachers, Mr. Leo, these teachers, all my teachers are who taught me at CPC Bali. Yeah. When you look at some of them, you cry.
You cry. That's what
you
I
see
say.
A whole prof, somebody who imparted knowledge on you. You are moving and you see him moving on foot, and he's asking you, master, this is my student. How are you, master? Just give me 1 minute, let me relax. You give drinks to a teacher who told you, and you are pity. I mean, you have pity over him, which you are supposed to meet him in a Lexus, in a limousine, or whatever, because these are people that matter. Why will these teachers work money for the Presbyterian Church, work money for Catholic, work money for Baptist, and then the clergy, who are the custodians of that money? My problem is mission. Yeah. Because for the private, I assume that he does not know God. So maybe God can come one day to make him be afraid of God, and then have that human pity. But if a clergy who mounts the pulpit every day, talking about love for one another, and you cannot show that love by saying that, no, we are clergy, I prefer we reduce our salaries and increase that of teachers. Yeah, it's possible. If you tell me that you have spiritual food, you have physical food, reduce physical food and give to those to those teachers who don't even have the spiritual level that you have. Yeah, because if I heard that the moderator or the bishops or whosoever reduce their salary during this period and they reduce their allowances that they're enjoying well, I will know that they're reducing it because they want to plow back the order into the teacher sector.
In some other countries.
Yeah, in other countries. So if I don't see it, it means these guys have taken Christ for their business.
Yeah.
And Christ will run after them, whether they like it or not. And a account will be given on the judgment day.
Okay.
That one is clear.
No, let me take some televiewers. The messages are just overwhelming. Let us read even 5 of them.
Yes.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Thanks for raising up this topic today. I really have a lot to say, but I think the PEA hierarchy must be dissolved, beginning from the head. Please, the head of the church should decline. We have had enough of many bad things. Daniel is writing from the USA. He says the church hierarchy squander money with their extravagant and lifestyle. One is forced to think that in the coming years, nothing will be left in the coffers of the church. Again, okay, that was Daniel writing from America. This one says, good evening. Panelists, I am Ambe writing from Yaoundé. It is horrible. Some of us are going over 2 months, no salary. Now, forget about a Presbyterian reducing salary to 50%. It's better because the proprietor is afraid of criticism. Let's look to those proprietors who have completely kept quiet to their servants. Government should help these proprietors to pay teachers, please. It is a shame, Mr. Liu, even Catholics and Presbyterians. Okay? Good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists. We have a government that does not care for its people. We are going for months now without salaries. Mr. Clement, a private teacher in Yaoundé. It is a pity that most of these people complaining are from Yaoundé, which means that and schools have been ongoing in Yaoundé. Please, Mr. Liu, if I may ask, do you receive voice messages? Please, even if you were to send it, I can't play it now. This one says the church is a business institution. They are out to make profits. The government should tax all church schools. It's a pity. God bless teachers and of the private sector. Valentine Bobga, writing from Boya, he says, good evening to you, Valentine. This one says, hello, Mr. Leo and the able panelists, very serious situation as topic of discussion. We have a government that does not care about the welfare of her citizens. That is why there is no follow-up to make sure employers respect the rights of their employees. Teachers are just one out of a whole scenario of workers deteriorating situation in Cameroon. Employers just take the opportunity of state absence in protecting her citizens. Pius is writing from Douala. Greetings, Mr. Leo. I very much appreciate your topic today. It is very shameful for the church to take such a decision on teachers. How exemplary are they as preachers of the gospel? Mr. Gansha Nestor, writing from Yaoundé. Asnek Christian from Kumba says proprietors are greedy and wicked. They want only the teachers to suffer when there is a little breakdown, even after collecting fee and making gain over the years. This one says they are terrible proprietors. After working with them for 5 years, they almost turned me into being the proprietor's house girl.
House girl. Yeah, it's terrible.
All the teachers were doing shifting every week with all the insults until I thought of trying another school. After moving to other schools, the proprietor decided to dupe me of my 4 months
Sure.
claiming there was no money, and later dismissed me from the school without paying. I almost committed suicide and finally had to abandon the teaching profession.
Like myself,
And Miss Lucy Martins, writing from Boya. This one says, former SPGHS womb. Okay. Good evening. Good evening to you. Please let all proprietors pay their staff, for the government has never paid teachers in the crisis regions for close to 4 years. Okay, the government has been paying. You mean, okay? Good evening to you. I'm sure with all schools in GHS together. This one says, courage to all in the studio. You people are doing a great job. Keep up, Mr. Leo. Marcel Tachen, watching from Dubai, United Arab Emirates. You say, shout out to all my teachers of GBHS, Bamesing in Dob. Yeah, it's good to remember teachers. Good evening to all. Extend my greetings to Madam Bunya and all the math teachers on your channel. I really enjoy her lessons on your channel. That's the kind of teachers government or their school should be proud of them. Mawe Luis Mfo, writing from Boya. Wow. Good evening, panelists. I enjoy the program building the synod office or teachers' salaries, which is important. PCC, let us be God-fearing as example of Christians. Emmanuel is writing from Bamenda. Michael, writing from Limbe, says the private schools and missions are playing games. Many proprietors of private schools always take advantage of the teachers by exploiting them with low salaries and sometimes do not even pay. Mission schools, which are supposed to be the light, are managed by people not serious. The way out of the teachers to come together or create their own schools. In this way, the wicked proprietors and the mission schools will be kicked out. Stop the calls, please. Good evening, Mr. Kum, Tayongfa, Elvis Agbomento, and the crew. This is Dr. Shentem Gideon from Douala, and teacher for over 20 years, teaching in the private sector in Cameroon is a misery. Most proprietors operate without established contracts. They even block the staff body from letting their staff representatives to the inspector of labor. They pay teachers when they like and are adamant to explain to anybody whatever is happening. Okay, the teaching situation is really appalling, going by the many messages that are coming in. Many teachers have gone through terrible conditions in the Anglophone region and are still going through. But shockingly, we are getting many messages from Yaoundé, which means that the situation is dire across the nation. Yeah. Is this the time to revisit the situation of teachers in Cameroon, because as we speak, many people are decrying the conditions, but schools are being created every day with teachers working under the same conditions.
Sure. Generally, there is a need for an overhaul of everything, because when you look first of all at the minimum salary, Cameroon puts it at 36,000. It means that if Prince were to be maybe your house boy, at the end of the day, if you pay him 36,000, Prince cannot take you to any court, because the minimum salary is 36,000. It means first of all that there is need to step up the minimum package in Cameroon. That's the first aspect. Secondly, like Mentor said, I have a problem with how schools are created, because you will discover that schools are created like you get a school here, the next day is another school, and at times some of these schools don't have an authorization. And these are these schools that at times proprietors even collect fees and the next day they are off. The question is, Mr. Leo, there is need for the government. I'm saying so because in 2016, I actually did a report when I discovered that a school in Douala, whose name I will not call, was, by then the government, in September, the delegates want money. They want money. What they do is they come up and they seal schools. So there were schools that were actually sealed in September, and the following week, those schools were going operational. When we went back to the delegate, we were not given access. So you would discover that Cameroon is an entire system. It's a system so much such that at times you even feel that, okay, you've been trapped. You want to go to somebody who will save you. Like what we were saying here, Leo. A teacher who abandons the private sector because maybe to him the private sector is that which Mr. Leo can just create a school today and the next day doesn't pay, and embraces a mission school. Some of us who went to mission school at the end of class 6 or class 7 by then in those days, class 7, they even gave you a certificate called ECL, Education for Christian Living. They gave you something to mean that you were God. Yeah, and you had moral lessons obligatorily. It is, I don't know what to say. It's like crying for a teacher who is teaching in another area. Because those who are supposed to instead be pay setters are the ones bringing us back. We should not be talking Presbyterian Church here. We should not be talking the Baptist or the Catholic. We should rather be talking about mentor who has created a school. We should rather be talking about Teofa Evis who has created a school. Because the motive of each businessman is to make profit. The motive of a sole proprietor, stricto sensu, I want to make profit. And every man who creates a school, unlike Madame who said she created because she loved children, but I think that she still had another motive.
Should we encourage that?
No. Leo, this is what I'm saying. I am not. I'm saying, what I'm saying is that there is need, because everything we're saying here is an entire chain. If this chain is not broken, I'm saying to you because at one time in my 16, together with some friends, when we did a job at the GC board, we came back and one or a few coins, we said, okay, what can we do? We created a school in my 16, an evening school called Divine Favor Evening School. At the end of the year, that is when I discovered, if you know how much a proprietor takes home a year, you may stop this TV stuff. I'm serious. Okay. They have much money. What we had at the end, we just said, okay, we're even taking children who had paid in other schools. So when you have a proprietor who has at the end of the year, these proprietors, Leo, let me, before I leave, I will shock you that I taught in another school, a private school. The school will tell you they'll pay you 1,000 francs if you have a degree and pay you 700 francs with an advanced level. They'll give you Form 1 and 2. Now, this is what the school does. Proprietors are very intelligent. Some of us who are very intelligent. The proprietor will discover Prince has 8 hours on Thursday because since I visited the school once, the proprietor discovers that Kumtu Leaves Douala has 8 hours. Teo Leaves has 8 hours. You just discovered there's a public holiday on that Thursday. Your salaries are off. we know these things. It means at the end of the day, the teacher knows he has calculated, okay, if I'm giving you 1,000, you have 38 hours a week. It means you have 38,000 francs that month. It's true you have other schools. But the issue now is a proprietor deliberately calls on public holidays that are not on the program. Once other schools have arranged their exams and the government, the normal timetable given by the government, for them to write, for schools to write exams, they don't give. They just come, they give an exam on their own day to fall on their own period, and they tell you only the DM, the vice principal, and even the principal supervises. So to me, Mr. Leo, it's an issue of an entire chain. If the chain is not cut up and a new system brought in, we will see talk that teachers are suffering next year, this time.
Well, Mr. Leo, thank God we are talking and also having reference of a lay private school that is taking care of its teachers completely.
Yeah,
to
you
its
talk
entirety.
about
Because you're coming
about
there.
Somerset. So now what I'm in effect saying is that
that's a school I know so well. Yeah.
yes, well, is doing quite well in order to follow the norms of protecting humanity and making sure that teachers are well.
But is it not also because of the fact that it is a creation of teachers, eh?
No, that is evident because it is mounted by a group of teachers who came together.
Disgruntled teachers.
Disgruntled teachers. No, it's the truth.
In the day when Standard was fumbling, they just like...
Where they left from Inter, some left from Inter.
So now, what I'm in effect saying is that if they were greedy and poor-minded personalities, it couldn't have been the way it is, because there are many teachers who fell out from other schools and today are still maybe giving back piecemeal to other teachers. They don't care. So what I'm in effect saying here is that when we talk about it, we should not mix words. There's something I really want us to touch.
Yeah,
because
go on.
when we come back to this issue of business people, you don't bother about their making money, it's a call for concern.
Yeah.
My worry is that let maybe don't rob Peter to pay Paul. So if a teacher deserves his salary or his stipend, the first thing, like what Prince has said, the stipend should be improved upon. We should not look at the minimum wage rate and start talking about it. So first, I hold the teachers responsible. When maybe canvassing for a job, they should try to put their dignity in place. So on that note, if they have been able to negotiate a good salary, good in what terms? Good in the terms that at least they can take care of your transport fare, take care of your rents, and take care of either feeding or whatever, while anticipating for greener pastures, because most often that is the case. But as we are saying, in this scenario where teachers have not been given even a token, Mr. Leo, I think names like Somerset should be maybe called upon for them to have a pat on their back, that at least they are showing maybe an example to the nation. Because even we are talking about mission schools are fumbling. So secondly, those maybe people that are compared, when you talk about most calls are coming from Yaoundé, but to Mr. Leo, I can maybe, with all due respect, tell you that some of the teachers in Boya and other schools don't have even the means to send a text. It's disheartening, which is frank. They don't have the means to send it. They are listening.
Yeah,
but it's unfortunate.
Many messages are coming from Boya,
Yes. So if they cannot send a text, take note that some do not have even 100 francs to convert.
Yeah.
You cannot deny that. Yes, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing because the situation they are going through, some have turned out to be beggars.
Yeah.
To the same students they have been teaching what becomes of their dignity. It's disheartening. So we're talking about the situation of fee collection. I think that issue of fee collection is very complex, because with us, maybe for example in Somerset that I teach, there are some students where, based on the maybe situation we know, are going in for scholarship. Some maybe pay fee piecemeal, but that notwithstanding, if Somerset can stand as a pace setter in the nation, I think if proprietors and school owners from different angles are called upon by the authorities in place, they will respect paying teachers, even if they have to borrow. It's business. Okay. Why am I saying so? Why am I saying so? The point here is, when some of these schools are open, those teachers are contracted. And from that first step, they are told, let's manage for the school to stabilize. It's been normal. You see them maybe coming, just like the head of the school in Somerset, the person coordinating the school, Mr. Eta Thomas, Dr. Eta Thomas. What did he tell? He said a good thing deserves another. That is why in difficult moments you were there for us.
Yeah.
So now that it is a situation where we need to assist you, we cannot fold our arms. So in that case, others should maybe follow suit. We cannot deny that maybe it's not business, but why don't protect the person working the money for you? So if it is like a scam, I think the government can prop in. Who gave you the documents to run a school that this is not maybe going well in our country? So you step up.
Madam, I want you to react to this message. It is written by Nzifo Ferdinand, who is watching us from Douala here. He says, Leo, I hope we all remember that all mission schools collected the rest of the year's students' fees with the start of the second term last January.
Yes.
They have no excuse not to pay full salaries, as they will make profits, as our children in dormitories will not eat food we paid for
That's it. That's exactly what Prince said at the beginning. Because I remember, like I said, I went to Presbyterian School, PHS Kumba, from Form 1 to Upper Sixth. And second term was the latest time my father paid fees. And I just want to imagine, children were yet to go on vacation, and from 5 and Upper Sixth were supposed to stay back in school. That's the tradition, and eat. So for 3 months, they're not going to be eating. Where is that money going to?
Food money.
They should just take it and give the teachers. Because another thing I was saying to some parents who were rejoicing that, anyway, I have paid fees and my child will go to the next class. I said, no, it's not about your child going to the next class. It's about this work being done, because come what may, these teachers are going to do this work, because there is no way you're going to start teaching a child multiplication without them knowing addition.
Madam,
so if they have to finish...
Madam, let me just come in. It's even unfortunate because some of the monies that were not paid during the Anglophone crisis in Cameroon,
yes,
some of those mission schools collected the money after maybe schools were resumed, which means even this money that maybe some parents are keeping, mission schools will collect.
Yeah,
it's evident.
Of course, because you can't go back to school.
Collect it.
No. That's the truth. I speak as a proprietor now. No, that's the truth. You can't return in September without finishing the fee for this year.
It's
that is why I agree with you that whether it means
from 1 to Form 4,
whether you agree or not, you have to look for a way to sort it out, because
that's one the point.
Because he has a daughter comes from a mission school.
That's it. So let something be done.
Now, to Nelson, who is watching us from Yaoundé, has this to say. He says, hello, good evening, Mr. Leo. Enjoying the show. Keep up the good work. Nelson says, I'm teaching in Yaoundé, and my proprietor says it is work before pay. He will not pay simply because we did not sign a contract, a paper. But he has collected the fees.
He has.
What does the proprietor mean by work before pay? Before we come out to give a 30 minutes lesson, do they know for how long a teacher works? Excuse me, what are they talking about? Now people are calling us up and down and saying we're doing well on my media prime, we're teaching in my school so well. Do they know for how long a teacher sits? So people who think that teachers have time, free time, is because they don't know what teaching is all about. Teachers ought to be paid 24 months if it was possible in 1 year.
The sad part of it is that they are not even paid for 9 months.
That's it.
I think when we look at that, Mr. Leo, you see, we still get back to the government machinery called the labor office.
Yes, it.
Because when this kind of thing comes up, if he had not collected the money, it would have been different. It means he's taking advantage of the
COVID-19. That's the crux
of the matter. Now, like as I said, the important point here is that if our labor inspectors were hard as per se, people of dignity, you call this kind of proprietor to order.
That's it.
Because if you say you don't have money, it's different. But now that there's evidence they have collected the fees, and there are ways you can check to know whether the store are paid or not.
That's it.
So you cannot be talking about it's work before pay. When you have collected the fee, it demands just human dignity to say that, but this is somebody I contracted. If I did not contract Mr. Prince, surely would have been working him elsewhere.
That's it.
Now that I contracted him means I've decided from working elsewhere. Now that a pandemic has come, which is not caused by him, I don't see why I should penalize him when I have monies in my coffers. You know, my issue all around this, like the issue we're talking about contracts, is abnormal that when you begin a school, some people they talk about contract. Even those who sign contract with schools, when the worst came to the worst, the contracts were no longer functioning because before the labor office, they were not saying anything. So at the end we discovered we were on our own. But I think that Mr. Liu, while coming to talk about this in brief, like in the mission schools, for example, I'm sorry, my error is always going back because you cannot be propagating about God. Love for one another when you are devilish. I'm sorry. That's where my issue is. Now, you can't say that you have a protocol agreement, meaning it's signed between you and the teachers. Now you want to change some clauses of that protocol agreement, you change alone. The protocol agreement automatically becomes null and void. Because you change without the consent of the person you had the other initial protocol agreement. It's a call for concern.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Leo, just to wrap up, the only thing teachers can do now, please, you don't need to bother. Any school that gives you headache, do like someone said, group yourself together, open your schools. I taught in College of Hope, Arts and Science here in Douala, the Panda. They left from College to Central. When they were disgruntled, it just migrated like wild bees. And we started in a funny structure, even in a Njangi house. And today, Kohas is a different thing we are talking about now.
One of the best.
So I think that, like what Thomas is saying, when proprietors give you a headache, even his mission, just migrate besides that mission school. Start a school. You will see children will come after you. Let me see where they will get that money to be feeding fat and then picking hard on you. It's too bad.
That is exactly what Tiku Felix has written from from Boya, Tiku Felix says that the teachers have been complaining enough. That what stops them from just migrating and creating their schools and then treating themselves well?
I think there's my brother has just said something evident, but there's a worry in line with that. Before you run a school, you must be able to procure the documents of running a school, which is a bit complex. So now out of that, maybe the complexity about it. I think some of these institutions or proprietors are benefiting from the point that there are a lot of job seekers in Cameroon, especially the graduates.
Okay, we are going to look at it.
Because with this,
we are going to look at that situation. That is the status of the
Mr.
private
Leo,
school.
this issue we are talking.
The private
if
school.
you want to open a school, please, and it is complex to you, meet me, Far Elvis Tayo. It's not complex.
Okay, please.
No, I will help them out.
Please,
get to the right channel.
Please,
I'm not the minister, but we'll get to the right channel.
Can the problem be solved?
Can we be orderly?
Thank you.
We are teachers now, so teachers should set the example.
Present teachers are retired teachers.
Many people are,
Those who run away.
Please, many people are following, and I want us to go back to Yaoundé with Mr. Afu Stephen to continue. Yes, in Bamenda, please, to continue our earlier discussion for him to paint the situation of the teachers in the PEA.
Situation which is very, very disturbing. As you want to know from me the conditions of the teachers of the PCC, I would dare to say that the conditions of the teachers of the PCC, to be fair and honest to you, speaking truth to power is bad. Very, very bad, appalling. Because now within the Presbyterian Education Authority, after the layoffs of some of teachers as a result of the crisis, those remaining now are in three categories. The first category are those who are in functional schools before the government even came in to close the schools now on the pretext of COVID-19. The second category are those in non-functional schools. And here we are referring to teachers who have neither been laid off nor redeployed. They are just hanging. They have just been abandoned. They do not know where they belong. There are those who are in some functional schools, supposed functional schools, but that have not been recognized by church hierarchy. And here I'm referring to schools like PCS Azari, PHS Nkambe, for obvious reasons. And the reasons are very clear. These are schools that cannot generate any income that church hierarchy can rush their source. With this categorization, you can already imagine the conditions of the teachers. We have teachers who have been going on for all this period, even before the crisis, with no salaries. The crisis came, they were still having no salary. This situation has come and worsened the situation, and there are no salaries. So if you are a teacher who belongs to this category, you can best tell me whether the condition is good or is bad. Then for those who I refer to as those in functional school, who I dare to say that they are enjoying, in quotes, there are those who schools have actually been going on. But you know the atmosphere under which they themselves are going to school, the atmosphere of fear and intimidation and all those issues. And even in that, until you are at your job place, your job site, and working with confidence and satisfaction, will you think that you are dispensing work that is satisfactory? So they are functioning there in half measures, functioning amidst fears and uncertainty. So in this situation, we cannot say that they are comfortable. It does not only pertain to secondary education, because the basic education sector is also gripped in this scenario. Going for months before the Anglophone crisis without salaries has actually been very, very difficult. And it is on that premise that that protocol agreement was entered. But again, dear panelists, dear listeners, what is actually disturbing is, why is it that it is only the Presbyterian Education Authority, teachers that are being affected seriously with all these draconian decisions, because I have tried to make an environmental scan. I have made calls to see whether the other sectors of the church have been affected, like the pastors. I hear they have not been, their own salaries have not been slashed, even though they pretend to say that their salaries are term stipends. Nothing has been done there. The health sector, we have not had any information that something has been done there. It is only the teachers of the PEA that are undergoing all these salary slashes and all other type of indignities. So we think that some injustice is being done. If the church has to operate as a holistic church, decisions must cut across, irrespective of whether you're in the health sector, whether you're in the pastoral ministry, whether you are in the educational sector. As a church body, we think that the decision should be taken in all fairness so that one sector does not suffer. If this is done, I think the people will not be complaining. But when we see a situation, there is some discrimination, as I want to put it, and segregation, it begins to worry the teachers. Because even if you go to their pay slips now, you realize that church contributions are being collected directly from source and other governmental taxes. But let me be quick to also point out to you that as a union dues were supposed to also be cut from source and reflected on the pay slips. But a letter came again that those union checkups should not be cut. Don't we also have a right to ask them now not to also cut church contributions, as they have stopped that off the union dues from pay slips? When we have this type of issues, they are very, very disturbing. So we are using this platform to appeal and to make a fervent call to the church authorities that it would be better for them to call for a meeting so that we can sit and examine all these issues and come out with a position that will be satisfactory to all. When we use that approach and the decisions go, there will be decisions now that have been arrived from bottom to top, not decisions that are coming from top to bottom. I think that will be middle of the road position. Thank you.
Okay, that was Mr. Afu Stephen, all the way from Bamenda, telling the sorry state of work of the teachers in the PEA. We hope, like he says, that something is going to be done so that the situation is ameliorated upon. There is an issue that was raised by a mentor here, that teachers are not respected given their value, because seemingly there is no status that has been ascribed to a teacher in the private school, because seemingly almost anybody now is a teacher.
Yeah,
sure. Mr. Leo, the truth is, teaching in Cameroon, to me, when I look at teaching, like my friend Tayong said, and me, I thought before, teaching in Cameroon is a stepping stone. I did not teach because I wanted to teach. I had never dreamed teaching. But at one time, I applied somewhere, and when September was approaching, they had not called me what I was expecting. So a friend just called me and said, okay, but you can go there. And so, yeah, when you look at teaching in Cameroon, you discover that, first of all, most guys who get into teaching don't have that passion. Many people get into teaching because they just feel that they should get something. That is why a majority of Cameroonians, even those who don't want to end up being teachers, that is state teachers, they go into teaching in order to get money and write other competitive exams. So many of them.
So in effect, what are you saying? Do we say teachers are condemned to the situation because they are not?
Mentor, what I'm saying, I said so. What I want to say is,
but does this explain? Yes. Does this explain why proprietors should treat them the way they?
I think what Prince is trying to say is that when they talk. When these teachers are in front of proprietors, they lack the ability to be convincing in some cases. Yeah. That I will agree.
I'm coming, mentor.
To cut Prince short, but I think the point was raising personally, I felt offended because
you're a teacher.
I'm a passionate teacher.
Yeah, let us be honest.
Unfortunately for many viewers or maybe some of us, I've never written a concours to be a government teacher. I love teaching from onset.
Leo, you know there is something. Leo, there is something.
No, I want us to look at. I want us to look at regulating that sector. That is not anybody that becomes a teacher.
What I want to say is this, Mr. Leo. What I'm saying is because I've taught. Okay. I want to give an example. Let's speak with evidences because my job, my profession says I should work with facts.
That's it.
When I applied in charity to teach, then I wanted to teach French because I did A1. We should not give our CVs on public. Now, the guy was there, the head of department who teaches with you guys, who is one of the proprietors of your school in Somerset. Once you say one or funny thing, he just says, si tu ne veux pas, il y a les gens dehors qui ont les diplômes qui te dépassent.
Some of them have that arrogance. Yeah.
You understand?
No.
I'm coming, sir.
Excuse, Prince. Just an answer.
Say you and I are not debating.
No, we are talking about a school while mentioning names. It's unfortunate.
But what I'm saying is that I'm saying is.
But just what we are talking to the audience, and we're talking to a public, a wide audience, maybe.
That is what I'm saying.
No,
that is what I'm saying.
Mentor. It's not mentioned.
You are in order.
I didn't mean.
But saying
just go on.
the said school Somerset does not have a proprietor who is a French teacher. I just wanted to correct that.
Thank
maybe
you.
the person was.
He's part of the game, but he's teaching. He teaches language.
The person was bluffing
we may say it backstage. We'll say it backstage because it doubles.
Please, that's not part of the debate. Please, just make your point.
Yeah. Now, Leo, I wanted to say that the first thing is, let us be honest, Mr. Leo. The first thing about teaching, because when I listen to mentor talk, and somebody listening to mentor maybe in Bali, in Akwaya, has the impression that teaching is just like a bed of roses. Why? Because I know where he's standing on.
He too has suffered though.
He has suffered. Okay,
no, please, we don't have much time. Sure. Just make your point.
Okay, this is my point. I'm saying that, Leo, teaching in Cameroon is that profession whereby, in as much as you've got a certificate, you can get into. That is why even at the level of primary and even nursery, they can pick up one mother because she's caring to come and watch children in the nursery school. What we are saying is this, Leo, it is high time that even the ministry regulated. That is why at one time on this platform we had proposed that government should also be able to say, because in ENS, if I know, there is private, which if you cannot go in and become a state, you can still go through private. There should be something to certify that not just everybody stands in front of children and teach them. Like I said before, I've listened to teachers say the plural of man is mans. Yes. That is, you know, we are saying that, no, we are saying that the sector, it is what it is today. Let us be honest. You where you are, there is a certain sum that you cannot take. There's a sum I cannot take. But let us be honest, since we're living in a country where I don't want to look at the unemployment rate, but teaching is the only profession. Mentor, let us be honest. If they take you out of the classroom and they put you to present newscasts here, it may be difficult for you. You take time. But if you take Mr. Leonard here who studied and give him chalk to teach language, he will teach. He will teach. It's just a matter of time. So I think that, Leo, the main thing we have with the teaching sector, far from proprietors, is the fact that everybody who has gone through education sees teaching as a stepping stone towards achieving his goals.
Okay, talking about regulating.
Mr. Leo, you know, we need to be frank and we'll talk to benefit the purpose for which we came here. There are certain, maybe Prince has just said it, he was a teacher, surely not by passion, but we should correct that aspect where if you can teach, I think the best level-headed teachers I can prove to you are from the private sector. I'm sorry to say it, I might be wrong. I don't condemn the mechanism of training our teachers, but with evidence, people that have been proprietors, people that are coordinating schools, if you are not well schooled in the domain of teaching. But don't you think there is need to regulate? Don't you think that there's need to regulate the sector? Regulate those who have proven that they are level-headed and then certified, so that not anybody jumps into the profession of teaching. Yeah. Well, which is not wrong per se, but we should not forget too that some people take their relatives who are not qualified or are not passionate to be teachers and put in some of those training schools that they don't even undergo the training. And at the end of the day, they come to class and maybe keep on staying far back from students, or you see some
they
of them
unteach
shying away.
students.
They unteach the students, or come and start maybe going to Gabon or going to Equatorial Guinea or going to Dubai to do their businesses and abandon the children in schools. And while looking for a teacher, you don't find a teacher in school because the teacher cannot deliver the goods. Whom you consider to be well trained. But in effect, I'm saying that I don't discourage the aspect of certification, but I'm saying private school recruits perfect teachers. And because if you are not one, you cannot fit into the shoes.
They recruit,
I'm happy you were one.
They recruit perfect teachers. Now, we saw a video footage that made rounds on social media of the president of Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, Alassane Dramane Ouattara, who said that the salaries of teachers in secondary schools in Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, moved to 311,000 secondary schools, and those for primary schools.
Primary school,
311,000, and moved to 580 something thousand for secondary schools. I'm sure he was talking for government schools, which means that private schools may step up. Do you think that, talking about regulation, a barème should be given for those to teach in primary and secondary schools in Cameroon?
Yes,
private, for lay private.
Yes, Mr. Leo, I think that's exactly what should be done. I was just going to give this example because I always tell people that teachers can be trained, but the art of teaching, you are born with it. And I always like to use, when I'm talking to children, I like to use the Jackson 5. You know, Michael Jackson did not make news because he went to a music school. Sure. But after he discovered, and then producers discovered something in him, he got into training. I think that's the first step that proprietors and PTAs should help proprietors to fix. There are some people, it is seen, it is evident when somebody, even among the children we teach, there are those that you see, this one is a born teacher. So the first thing is, such people should be kept so that they can enhance training. And how is that done? Like what has just been done in Cote d'Ivoire. If working hour for everybody is 7 to 5 p.m., then teachers too should be paid from 7 to 5 p.m. The reason why we rush out of school at 1, those of us who teach nursery, is because you need to go and find other things to do. But if there is enough salary, after the children go home, that is when the head teacher, the principal, the dean of studies, they ought to check. I need to do the work for tomorrow, present it today, and it is audited, it is checked, it is corrected. And if all of that is done, that can only happen if the government decides on something that will make up for this other time, because we rush out of school to go and see how we can get other things, get other solutions. Sometimes, I bet you the truth is, we create those loopholes in children because the proprietor can't pay me and I have to pay my house rents. So I keep important stuff for parents who will pay me after. But if that one is handled, I think the PTA would have done a lot. I think the PTA can help the government in this case, because the PTA is present. They see the teachers, they see the output. And then coming to what Prince was saying, the reason why most teachers can't speak, when I hear mentor, I have not worked with him, I'm meeting for the first time. But excuse me, whenever I say salaries that I've earned as a teacher in this Cameroon, people go, huh? Because I know I didn't fall into teaching. I always tell people, I didn't fall into teaching. I love teaching. I decided to be a teacher, and I promised myself I was going to grow in teaching. So where I am today is as a result of that. So wherever I teach, and if I touch your child, there is no way. Do you know,
Madam? If I were to ask, will you like your child to become a teacher?
Very well, a teacher like me. Very well. Do you know what it means? Oh, I said I don't want to be called a proprietor, but that doesn't mean I'm not one. As a teacher, I wasn't selling granite or selling clothes. I didn't go to Dubai. It's just being a teacher in a classroom in Cameroon. And if you see the children in my school, you will know. Anyway, just watch me on my Media Prime, and you will know that I'm not kidding. Okay. So that kind of teacher, you can't mess me up. Good. So let teachers step themselves up, and then when you speak to the proprietor knows when you're not there, something is missing.
Okay, I want us to look at it. She raised the issue of PTA, and knowing that there are some PTA teachers even in government schools with very sorry salaries. Our PTAs themselves not considering the plight of those teaching in some of these government schools, because they are the ones to take care of the living conditions or the welfare of the PTA teachers. You imagine if a parent who is married with children being paid PTA 40,000 francs.
I was paid 40,000
Yeah.
in a government
How do we
school.
understand this? Yeah.
Now, let me just come back. I just want to be plain here to give you the mafia that happens.
Yes.
Because I have been getting into that. You know, investigating journalists, they will be angry with me, but that's the bitter truth. Before the outbreak of the crisis, in my village in Gunoko, PTA teachers were there who were paid for primary school, for example, they were paid 10,000 francs per month. Gunoko village.
Gunoko.
They hear what I'm saying.
The world is watching.
And they are watching and listening to me. Now, when you go to other issues, like you go to government schools or secondary schools, you have PTA teachers who were on 25 and 30,000 francs. He was even lucky that he was on 40. Now, what happens? You know that the PTA levy is managed by the principal and the chairman of the PTA. Let nobody deceive you.
It's true.
Then you add the treasurer. These three. If you know the mafia, these three do. Now, there was a strike at grammar school Moliko on computer fee and something like that. Sometime I was in Buea at that time, and it was not easy. They even blocked the road until the governor and the delegate had to come in, and they were asking, but what is happening? Children have paid PTA, they have paid computer fee, and they are not seeing the computer. What is happening? It took the intervention of the administration before the principal at that time could restore those computers, which means they had not bought them, but they were preparing to maneuver the children so that the year should come to an end, and then they give another computer fee again for the previous year. So the main thing, Mr. Leo, this is the bitter truth. When you see any school where the PTA teachers are suffering, know that the PTA president, the treasurer, and the principal, they have cooked up. We know several times government gives communicate that principal should not mingle with PTA. But at the same time, there's a text that stipulates that for money to be used, the principal of that school or the HM must visa. So if he has to visa, he cannot visa if he's not in good terms with the president or the PTA or the treasurer. That's why when you hear a PTA meeting getting very hot, know that there's disagreement somewhere between the principal or the HM and the PTA chairman and the treasurer. Once they are in agreement, they can hold PTA meeting here and people will come and say this thing is good. Not knowing that these very persons, three, I said treasurer, PTA president, and principal or HM, these are the ones that punish the rest of the PTA teachers unknowingly. It's a sad thing, but that's the mafia that goes. They know. They are listening to me. I am sorry for giving the secret out, but that's what transpires, and it keeps transpiring year in, year out. And at the end of it, you discover that the problem of man is man. That's why the Bible says the heart of man is desperately wicked.
Who can understand it?
Okay. Good evening, Leo, and all the different speakers on the panel. I support the stand of Prince. Most teachers out there go into the profession because of circumstances. As such, most of them are hardly skilled enough to protect their interests and their working conditions, thereby giving most proprietors the opportunity to behave the way they do. Ayuk is writing from Boya. Ngupol Ngong writing from Kumba. Stop calling, please. You disturb. I can't read the messages because hello, Mr. Liu. I'm glad you are on after waiting for some time. It's obvious. Stop the calls, please. It's obvious. It's obvious that the proprietors of private schools can't pay their teachers without the support of the government. Most pupils and students had not completed their school fees before now. The government should do something, Mr. Liu. Accept greetings from me and my wife, Ngu Paul Ngong, from Church Street in Kumba. Good evening to you, Paul. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Please salute all the guys in the studio. Mr. Leo, Cameroon is a country in which everyone is looking for the smallest opportunity to fill his or her pockets. It's just unbelievable that the church is playing mafia with lives of humans. Are is writing from federal quarters in Boya. This one says, please, the president of Piatu have not mentioned the previous protocol agreement as per se before they claim the recent one. Stop the calls. We don't take calls. Write your message. I'll read those I can. Hello, dear Liu. I think these teachers have to stand up for their rights because this scam issue is not a joke. Okay. This one says, more so, I'm an IDP with families here in Yaoundé. Good evening to the panel. I salute the excellent words from the crew. Mr. Leo, just to say proprietors are mean to teachers. A teacher in Yaoundé since March till now, no salary, the bursar and the principal number. Please, stop the calls. Okay, Sam is writing from Yaoundé. It's a disturbing situation out there. This one says, the church cannot claim they don't have money to pay their teachers. What happens excess from the big schools like PSS Douala with more than 1,000 students? Each Christian pays a yearly 2,000 as education fund. They deduct more than 6,000 every month from their workers in the name of church contributions, plus 5% salaries deduction. Where are all these monies going to? Peter is writing from Kumba. This one says, good evening, Mr. Leo. The worst situation is that lay private where the school owners have never paid their teachers for 12 months while they are abroad. The government should stop giving subventions to lay private mission schools, but pay salaries for the teachers for 12 months. Patega is writing from Kumba. Okay. Chantal from Yaoundé says, before schools begin, the salary of teachers should be set aside first before the beginning. So whether schools close or not, salaries can disappear. Good evening to you, Chantal. Good evening, sir. It's too early not to pay teachers their full salaries. Private schools are hiding behind COVID-19 to embezzle money, wickedness of the first order. Good evening to everyone. I'm Hontang Alem from Bamenda. Please, the government should ensure that all proprietors registered all their teachers at the National Insurance Fund. Love your program. Okay. Muke Ebang says, beautiful panel, wonderful topic. Kudos, Leonard. Far Elvis, keep calm, please. Mrs. Mbunya Nzokwe, my mentor, your contributions are so smart. I love them. Mr. Leonard, there is money in the church. Just like Far said, let these Presbyterian people stop the scam. By now, 90% of schools in Cameroon must have collected school fees from parents. What has happened to 85% of the school fees collected if they claim to pay workers only through school fee collection? Secondly, schools owned by the church should not complain that a pandemic is the cause why they will not pay their teachers. Besides, before opening up a business, they would have forecasted on how to handle issues in times of crisis, plagues, pandemics, etc. Okay, the church administration pay your workers. You guys are rich. Moke Ebang, Miss Ben, writing from Douala. Okay. Good evening to you. Dr. Shentem Gideon, stepping in again. Messages are so many, I can't afford to read two. Teaching in Cameroon is hell. I can't believe I thought with a private school and the proprietor started bargaining my salary on 12,000 francs. That's crazy. Even the mission schools are not exempted. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and thanks so much for this topic of today. I think schools in Cameroon is all business, and in business, you should be expecting the best and the worst. When all was well without COVID-19, there was no song on salaries because the proprietors were having a handful from what we slaves teachers are producing. Now when things are bad, why should they now kill the teachers by slashing their salaries, even not paying at all? Ms. Amfor is writing from Yaoundé. Greetings, Mr. Liu. I'm Belmont from Bamenda. I like your program very much. It's very educating. Thank you very much. Okay. Abandis from Bamenda, who addresses you as former SP, JHSUM. Okay. Abanda, I remember now. Good evening to you. Glad to read from you. Good evening to the panel. Mr. Liu, I'm grateful to you and the Media Prime. Your topics are touching and very educative. Continue, and with our prayers, God will intervene. My man, Far Elvis, greetings from Limbe. I always enjoy your points. Tata Ernest, writing from Limbe. Okay, hello, Mr. Liu. Please, let's listen to Mr. Afu Stephen and Far Tayon, especially because Mr. Afu Stephen taught me English language in PHS Batibo, and therefore he has very true points you would want for this topic. Cho Daniel, writing from Douala Yecho. We listened to him already. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Landlords will soon chase us out of their houses here in Yaoundé. It's quite a sad situation. Now, many of these proprietors have collected fees.
Yeah.
They have.
And they seemingly are not taking care of the teachers. What should the government do at this juncture?
The government is a referee in every society. The government is a referee. Leo, there is something Zifo Ferdinand raised. Some of us who went to the dormitory school. You know, when you pay alongside food. Yeah. And this food, we eat it in a place called the refectory. It means that we're looking at the Presbyterian Church and other dormitory schools. We're just looking at the fees. We're not looking at the food aspect that these children are supposed to consume till the end of the year. It means the food they paid for has not been consumed. It's somewhere. What has become of the food and the money? I think that Leo, if at all, I will still have another. I think that Leo, there is time. Let us be honest. The Presbyterian Church in Cameroon, I mean nothing against them, has made a lot of noise lately. It is one of those churches, and the French version of it, to Église Évangélique du Cameroun, which is the French version. We know the saga, even in Douala, the pastor have been transferred. It will not go. Recently, the Presbyterian Church pastor of Susa was forced to resign. It's somebody who might know. I went to him and said, but why? He gave me
make your point, please,
no,
please,
my
please,
point is not Leo. Please, what I'm saying is, I don't know, but I feel that the government is a referee. Like Tayong said, what is touching me, if Madam who has a school had not paid her teachers, I understand. She is alone, it's not a body. Mentor who is of Somerset, you've paid. Mentor who is of Somerset, I've paid.
I didn't want to talk about that, but just to come, I can't.
Leo, I'm saying this is my point. My point is that the government in everything is the referee. But I'm saying that we should not be talking a referee in somebody who is supposedly supposed to be the preacher of the gospel.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why my own. When I listen to Mr. Alfu Stephen, I almost wept. It's appalling.
The government should intervene.
The government is a referee.
Yes. What should the government do, and what is the message you have for the proprietors out there?
Well, the message I have for the proprietors is to step up the game and make sure that they do pay their teachers. Despite the COVID-19 situation, teachers maybe are due what they have been working for. And I think this is the high time, the aspect of showing maybe the concern for what they have been contributing in their establishment to be fulfilled. Just like what my brother has said, I think not really being the referee, the government should really work hard to make sure that these maybe teachers whose stipends maybe most often are not maybe up to a certain level should be taken care of. I think they should follow the example of Somerset Bilingual College Boy.
Okay, yes, madam. What should the government do, and the teachers themselves, because the teachers are the actors here? Are they so helpless that they can't do anything?
That's the question. That's what I was going to say. What I was going to say to teachers is, please have confidence in yourself. Step up, face proprietors. We are flesh and blood like you. No point grumbling, because the case is most of you are grumbling out there. You have not gone to meet these proprietors. And to you, my fellow proprietors, you might think that paying teachers you're losing. But let me tell you, if you don't pay them, what you will lose next year will be more than what you think you're losing now. Because I'm telling you, I'm a teacher and I'm a proprietor. Just wait and see what we'll do to those proprietors who will not pay us. And then just see those who will hear, like Somerset, pay their teachers. Wait and see what will happen next year. So my advice is, proprietors pay. And for the government, if you are there to let us help you in doing something, you can't abandon the task onto our hands. You need to come and ensure that we are doing exactly. We came in to help. We didn't come to take over. So that's the point.
What the government should do, take a pen and papers. I want to, since you have refused to work, let me give you the idea. Get to each school when they come, when you know they are already functioning. Tell the proprietors of those schools, those who have been there for at least 2 years and above, they should send the names to you. When they send the names to you through CMP or whatsoever, let the proprietors give them an order. They calculate the salary and send into the account of that school, monitored by the government. Money and goes straight to that account and pick up the money. So that proprietors will not have control over money to be saying in pidgin, yam done, yam not done. Government, open accounts, ensure, open accounts, primary school. Anybody that has a school should open an account and show to you. Now, you visa, even your subvention, pour into the account directly.
That's it.
Teachers should not come and stand in front of the proprietor. When you have, once you have taught for 2 years and 3 years, it means you are a favorite teacher.
Yeah.
So that those who come first year
we could say benefit of that, they cannot enter the system. But from 3 years, let them get into the system, means they can be permanent. And then you do this process, teachers will not be able to hold money and talk grammar the way they're talking. And then on the part of the mission, please, if mission you cannot arrange salaries, go on retirement.
Yes.
Just abdicate the throne. If you are at the moderator's office, you are in the office, you are at the mission, any mission issue.
Yeah.
Once you have failed spiritually to provide food for people that are supposed to prove to be humane towards them, as Jesus was humane to us, pack your bags and leave. We carry out immediate election and replace those who take the people at heart. That is my humble opinion. Government, work on the accounts. Somerset should give their account to you. You put money there, so that Somerset calculates money at the beginning of every year. They put in that account. Teachers they don't come to Somerset. They just go straight to the bank unless they have not come to school. When Somerset indicates if they are absent or some days, the deduction can be done. But they go straight to the bank and collect their money. So proprietors don't have hold of the money. It will be good.
No, thank God Somerset is responding without any worry.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo, and special greetings to our highly esteemed panelists on set, not leaving out the hosts of Prime hour of my media Prime. Thank you for the subject matter. It's quite interesting and educative. Prince Williams is writing from Baron Bikang. I hope you are there with the fan club. Good evening to you. Extend our greetings to all of them watching from Baron Bikang in Kumba. Humphrey, writing from Canada, says, hello, Mr. Leo. Greetings to all in the studio, especially my own man, Far Elvis. It is from Humphrey from Canada. I am at work now and I can not follow the program. I know I will follow. I will continue after work. Okay, the maker who is watching us from my 16 says, is she a proprietor or a proprietress? I think she can answer you. The maker, you people are constituting what we call a fan club for my media Prime. Prime, good day, panelists. Please don't centralize your blame on the PCC. It is not something personal, Mr. Liu. Extend my greetings to all the people of goodwill. Okay. Emmanuel Ebwe is writing from Tole. Good evening to you, Emmanuel. Good evening. It's really about that schools in Cameroon are all profits, that proprietors are out to make money, not to satisfy the teachers. Okay, we are writing from Boya. The messages are as usual. so many. We have to stop the program at this juncture. We want to see our mentor all the way from Boya. We are glad you were part of the show. You are going to continue to be that mentor that we know. And surely you have a word for your colleagues, especially those who have been braving the odds in the Northwest and Southwest regions.
Well, it has been a privilege to meet you guys today. Maybe I count myself privileged to be amongst those Cameroonians to have a say on the plight of private teachers in Cameroon. And the word I have for my colleagues back home, especially in the Northwest and Southwest, that are facing a double impact stress. I just pray that God's willing, they will be able to brave it. But in no distant time, I think with the contributions we have made here, the authorities in place are not sleeping, and I think they will take up actions so that at the end of the day, their situation will be taken care of. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yes, Prince, we are glad you were part of the show this evening. Maybe you have a word for your former colleague teachers.
You know, the plight of teachers is what we call in journalism is a running story. It's a developing story. It means we've said it today, we'll still say it some other time, because it's not something that is going to be solved.
Many people have written that we need a series.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. It's a developing story. It's not something today. I'm speaking first of all as somebody. My friend Tayong proposed something the bank. The school I taught in Douala paid us through the bank, but unfortunately the bank is owned by the proprietress. So much so that she dictates. That's another ball game. It means it is a complete chain that is a bit difficult to cut. But I think that since it's developing, the government's bank, since it's a developing story, Mr. Leo, in other editions we are also strong. We'll still look into it. And like of colleagues of ours who are there, will listen to Mr. Afo Steve, whom I felt touched by him. Now I think it's the place for us, the colleagues, journalists, to pump into what is actually happening with the salaries of teachers in the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon.
No, but across the board, because you have had
the answers come up. We're waiting for others.
No, many people have written from Yaoundé.
For private, Leo, there's a difference between a lay private, a mission school, and a private school.
Don't you think that journalists should also probe into the way proprietors, very rich proprietors are teaching, treating their teachers.
Normally. So I think we are also going to look into it and bring it to the limelight, because I believe that a lot of teachers, we know people have taught for 15,000, 18,000, and the 18,000s, they even take you today. The proprietor gives you in a bar. He calls you on a Friday and calls you in a, I know I've taught. Calls you in a bar and say, what 10? Come for Monday, cut 8. Where must I? All those things.
But it was a pleasure. Certainly, you have a word for the teachers and your colleague proprietors.
Yes, I'll start with teachers, because that's truly what I am. I am a teacher. What I always tell any and every teacher is, make sure you upgrade yourself, because where value is, recognition cannot be denied. Mr. Leo, you brought me on your channel just a few months ago. You've been having people call you, and you've been telling me from the US and so do you think if I go to the US I will lack a job?
You wouldn't.
So my fellow teachers, make sure the children, I always tell them, if the children don't mention your lesson at home, it wasn't good. So step up your standards. And then to the proprietors, please just know this: every business has a season. So if your school is noted as a school where teachers come and go, parents can't trust you. And then you will soon find yourself as, in those days, it was this school that was. I don't want to be put in those days. I want to always be on time and to be current. So that's the advice I can give to.
Yes,
well, the advice I can give in that, in the first place, God should be in control. I mean, the real God we serve. That's where my issue is. Okay. And then another point of it is that I will be able to plead on councils, even my Lord Mayor of City Council in Bamenda. They should give a helping hand to the teachers. They could work with those officials at the basic education and secondary, and see teachers that have precarious situations, that they could make a gesture towards them. That's why you see I talked to like Mr. Mekong Samuel at the city council there, and Mr. Joe Wong Paul, who is the city mayor. You've seen the groundwork they have been doing, fighting COVID-19 and all the like. I am sure. And the other time they were talking about basic commodities at a reduced price given by the city council. So
the city mayor in Bamenda even told all the business people using the stores
not to pay for a period of time.
Yeah, but 2 months.
Yes. For free. So I think that if other city councils and mayors follow this example of what the city mayor in Bamenda is doing, and then they decide now to come to the helping hand of some teachers whose situations are a call for concern, I think it will do a lot of good. But I think, Mr. Leo, the good thing is that my meter will obviously be with the city mayor, I'm sure, to get out more of what the good things they are doing over there in Bamenda.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I'm Angie Desmond from Douala. All proprietors are supposed to have an account known by the government, so that the government can at least support them at the end of every month. This one reads, good evening. Good evening, my fellow panel proprietors. Do have in mind today that there are so many stranded graduates out there. So they deliberately maltreat teachers on their stipend payments, because they have many files on their tables, mostly because teachers driven from the Northwest and the Southwest war are able to receive 20,000 francs as salary. Agawa Fashion, who is watching from Kumbasis. Greetings to you, Mr. Liu, and the panelists. Good topic. Keep up. Thank you, Agawa Fashion. It's been long. We've not read from you. Hello, panelists. Good evening. Please, the government should do something to teachers, because they are our brains, and we are here today because of them. Henry is writing from Boya. Ngwasiri Prudence from Boya says it will be quite unfair if institutions start complaining about the salary of teachers' costs, or if teachers' salaries will not be paid for this period, then they should reconsider refunding part of the fee paid by parents. Okay? Mr. Leo, topic is good. May God help us all. Julius Peter writing from Bonaberry. This one says, good evening, Mr. Liu. Corrections should begin from the church, because they should stop the manipulation of teachers with unless the adage that they should see teaching as God's work, wolves in sheep clothing, but God's ghost. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. This is Leonga from Boya. I am very impressed with the outstanding points made by the panelists. I pray that COVID-19 should attack... No, we don't pray for that. I love this program, Mr. Leo. We will strike soon. Bless, writing from Yaoundé. Okay, bless, please. Don't strike. Good evening, Mr. Leonard and those in the panel. Jonathan is writing from Douala. Our government is not serious. They should send people to have meetings with the teachers and ensure their salary payments. Okay? This one says, my media prime. Says, hello, my media prime. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and God bless you at the studio. Please, the government should as well assist private schools. They are all working for the success of our government. Especially special greetings to Mr. Elvis Farr. His points are touching. Tracy writing from Boya. This one says, hello, Mr. Liu. I'm Akuma Godwill from Bamenda. I wish to say that it's not only Presbyterian schools that do these camps. The Catholic schools do it also. I sent my child to Saheko Mancon. My child is not able to eat good food with that amount of school fees I pay. Okay, we are sorry for that. Patrick from Abu Dhabi says, hi, Mr. Leo. Many proprietors are pathetic. They take advantage of the situation, and sometimes they don't even accept to sign contracts with their employees. Great panel. Okay, Patrick, thank you for watching and participating. Good evening, Leo. I hope people paid all their school fees. Why are teachers not paid? Proprietors should take care. I don't want to lose my temper. Teachers keep doing your work. Only God will reward you guys. I'm Hurera, writing from Yaoundé. Hello, Mr. Liu. Mr. Elvis, make the program funky. It's risky Del Fieri, writing from